Hello, I'm Jonathan from Boom Instructor Training, and I'm here to help you become a DVSA approved driving instructor. Using a trainee license can be beneficial, providing you find a good driving school who will properly supervise you. But using a trainee license isn't convenient for everyone. You do not have to use a trainee license. Instead, you could practice teaching pupils leading up to your Part 3 test independently in your own car, giving free lessons, and then just take the Part 3 test when you feel ready. And if you do this, you do not have to have 40 hours Part 3 training. So on this video, I want to make you aware that using a trainee license can sometimes go horribly wrong. I'll explain a few reasons how this can happen. The first reason is if you get into financial difficulty. It can be expensive to use a trainee license. You might have to lease a car, and this could be £600 or £700 per month or even more. On top of this, you might have to pay a weekly franchise fee, and this could be another £100 per week. So you would be paying out a further £2,600 over the 6-month period of the trainee license. You will also have to pay for an additional 20 hours of training before you take the first attempt of the Part 3 test, and this is on top of the 40 hours training that you've already paid for. And if it's £50 per hour for Part 3 training, that means you'll be paying out another £1,000. You might not have enough money coming in to cover all of these expenses, especially if you're only teaching pupils part-time. And if you end up getting into financial difficulty, this would be really stressful, and you can just do without this hassle and stress before you take your Part 3 test. This is why you should consider practicing teaching pupils independently, because if you do this, you will avoid all of these expenses. Whether you use a trainee license or instead practice teaching pupils independently, either way, you will still achieve the same outcome, which is for you to gain some experience teaching pupils before you take the Part 3 test. If you are currently training to become a driving instructor, then check out my website. You will discover some amazing Part 3 video tutorials which will 100% help you prepare for your Part 3 test. This is by far the easiest way for you to learn how to teach pupils and learn how to pass the Part 3 test. Lots of PDIs all around the country have passed their Part 3 tests after using these excellent video tutorials. The second reason why a trainee license can go horribly wrong is if you fall out with your sponsoring driving school. Maybe you're disappointed with the training you've received. Maybe you don't feel that you're being properly supported, or maybe you haven't received the amount of pupils you were expecting. So you have a disagreement with your sponsoring driving school and you decide that you no longer want to be associated with them. But unfortunately, you've signed a contract, so you will have to continue paying them the weekly franchise fee, even if you part company with them. Under these circumstances, the driving school can take you to court if you refuse to pay, and they probably will. This is quite common, it does happen. Nobody talks about this until now. I'm telling you that this can happen. My advice would be, do not lock yourself into an agreement which you cannot get out of if you change your mind. The third reason is if the trainee license expires before you are qualified. The trainee license is only valid for 6 months, and there can be long waiting times to get a Part 3 test date. If you don't pass first or second time, the trainee license could expire before you're qualified. And there's no requirement for DVSA to give you a second trainee license. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. It's a case-by-case basis. So imagine you've taken a gamble and quit your job to work full-time on a trainee license, but the trainee license expires before you're fully qualified, and then DVSA refuse to give you a second trainee license. What would you do if that were to happen? Again, very stressful if this happens. So if you do want to use a trainee license, do a lot of research on the driving school who will be sponsoring you. Make sure you feel comfortable with the terms and conditions, and ideally speak to a couple of PDIs or ADIs who are currently working with the driving school. And if you do want to apply for a trainee license, then use my Part 3 video tutorials first and learn how to teach pupils, and then just find a sponsoring ADI or a sponsoring driving school who will give you 10 hours in-car training. And then you can apply for a trainee license. So you can use my Part 3 video tutorials to count towards 30 hours of the 40 hours training required to apply for a trainee license. However, do consider practicing teaching pupils independently. This might be a better fit for you. And if you do this, you will then avoid all of the potential problems that I've mentioned on this video. And the good news is it's quite easy to pass the Part 3 test. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just follow the advice from my Part 3 video tutorials. I hope you found the information on this video helpful. Please like and subscribe if you have. I would really appreciate this. And do remember, when you're teaching pupils, keep it simple and enjoy it.